Hello and welcome to another edition of SQUASHfit, brought to you by England Squash. This is the series that's helping you to get all the way back onto the squash court. So we are using all of our expertise and all of our resources to give you the best chance of being able to manage your body, to reduce the risk of injury so that you can get onto the squash court and thrive as much as possible. We've already had the likes of Nick Matthew, Laura Massaro, Paul Carter, all sorts, so many experts to help you with sessions as they see fit and the best sessions that they think they can deliver. We've still got so much more to come. Remember, if you visit the SQUASHfit hub, you'll be able to get the weekly nutritional tips from Ollie Turner, our England squash nutritionist. So make sure you check that one out. I'm going to be here to guide you right the way through from the start of the series to the very end. Hopefully, by the end of it, you're going to be playing the best squash of your life, let alone just getting back into it. We're going to be best positioned to do all the sessions on the court from here on in. You can, of course, watch the live sessions, which are every Monday and Thursday at 6 o'clock for 45 minutes, and you can sign up via Zoom. If you need to catch any that you've missed or you want to revisit sessions, you can do all that via the SQUASHfit hub. So make sure that you go there on a frequent basis and use those sessions as much as you possibly can. If you've got any questions for Josh this evening, make sure you just put them in the chat and I'll post them to him, anything that you're thinking of, and we can get it through. Josh Taylor is a national performance coach. He's been working with England Squash for some time now. He's been really doing some great work right the way through the pathway, and is someone that's very much developing and on top of the coaching game. He's got Ryan Atherton with him as well. So going to really look forward to this session based around solo and movement. So over to you, Josh. Looking forward to it.
Hi, Lee. Thanks for joining us this evening on this bank holiday. Nice to be this side of the camera. As you said, I'm joined by Ryan Atherton, local club player. In the heart of the relatable segment of this series, I've got my white van driving plastering mate to come and demo some of the exercises. So as today was billed, it's going to be about linking movement and hitting. So we're really going to try and link in some solo exercises with some ghosting exercises. Throughout all of it, I really want you to focus on trying to have a nice amount of rhythm in the hitting, the timing of the hitting, and trying to bring some of the solo into some of the ghosting and vice versa. So that's kind of a bit of an overview of the session. The light's gonna stood still for too long. So we're going to start just with a bit of a solo drill out the back here, just doing some drives. So Ryan's going to go just onto his forehand here. We're going to get hitting some drives from here. And I think one of the first things to think about, I see this done a lot at club level. I really think about changing the heights and paces and trying to mix that up, trying to think about the weight of shot as well within the exercise. I've put a few targets down, always great to have a few targets. So you've got a visual clue to look for as well. So we've got sort of a 3 floorboard target here, just using a bit of tape. Also got a bit of a target on the back wall, just try and think about the weight of the ball going into the back and the depth of the shot. So Ryan, if you do a few drives for us here. So as I was saying, trying to use a bit of variety in the height. That's it. 2 good first ball, Ryan, there. Nice. So just start to get the ball warm, start to bring in a bit more variety. Trying to really think about the rhythm of the hitting here as well. So trying to think how the body sort of flows through, the timing of the shot. Trying to create quite a nice feel through the ball in what you're doing. As I said, like a drill that probably loads of you done a million different times, and it's about trying to have the quality of the hitting, the accuracy of the shot, as well as trying and think about that variety of height, pace. That's nice, Ryan. Looking to use the height, trying to change the pace up as well as hitting hard. So we're just going to do this for another sort of 30 seconds or so to start to get us going, to get the ball nice and warm. Any bits you're sort of watching in there, Lee, as the starter, just within this?
Yeah, so as well as sort of finding your rhythm and your flow, is there anything in particular you'd be looking for technically to make sure that you're you're prepared and got enough time in the shot and that you can actually link the preparation with the movement?
Yeah, no, I think probably one of the things to think about here is trying to have keep going for a few more for me, right? Trying to think about the racket face as well and the position that we're in our body. So like, I think if we can get into good positions early, as Ryan's been nicely here, trying to open the racket face. Got quite a flicky swing. Ryan's renowned for his flicky wrist within his technique, but trying to keep an open racket face throughout, so you're getting the strings coming through. I think he's getting into quite a nice position early, just getting down quite low in the back corners. So the earlier you can do that, the more options you can show, the better, really. So we're just going to do 10 more shots for me, Ryan, here, and then we'll bring it into a movement drill.
Look at that accuracy. He's nailing the targets here, Josh.
Tell you what, it's not as relatable as I was hoping here. I was expecting it to be a little bit looserly. Perfect. So the way we're going to sort of run through all these exercises, Lee, we're going to go from a solo drill like that and straight into a movement drill. So Ryan's just going to do 10 goes for us into the back forehand here. Just trying to ghost and bring this to life in the movement as well.
And what would be your main reason to link it and to sort of alternate these kinds of things?
Yeah, so I think, quite often we'll either do a solo session or a ghosting session and not merge the two together. And kind of like the whole theme of this was about trying to link the movement and the hitting together. So I think it's really nice to sort of complement the two, playing off each other, just by doing a solo drill, then into a ghosting, and just trying to bring in a little bit of movement into some of the solo stuff as well.
And would you try and practice the shots that you've just been doing within your ghosting as well? So you're really trying to connect the two up, make it realistic.
Definitely. And I think that's something in the solo can quite often start to be a bit static. And I think try and make it more realistic and to create a bit more rhythm in the solo, actually bringing in some of the ghosting, some of the movement is a really good way of starting to create that timing, rhythm, the fluidity within the shot. Okay, that's got to be 10, that, right? It's quite a few. 11, yeah. So we'll have a little breather, and then we'll go back in. So we'll just do it in a few sets. This time, Ryan, just trying to get into the same position you were hitting in a little bit more in your ghosting. Just try and make it a bit more realistic. So out the back, quite often you're going in with 2 feet on your solo, and then you're going in 1 foot on the ghost. Try and get into a 2-foot position off the back a little bit for me as well. Okay, another set of 10. Off we go.
So again, that just highlights the fact that you're trying to do exactly what you've just been practicing in your shots and what you're going to do when you play in your match, isn't it? So the two just go straight into your match play.
Yeah, and I think this is, linking to, again, like quite a lot of the things that you see sort of like within some club players and the way we sort of go about things. Sometimes we try and sort of do our ghosting. It's not as realistic as we could make it. So trying to start to think about making our ghosting as realistic and as game-like as possible is really important, I think. A couple more, yeah? Was that 10? Okay, cool.
He doesn't want to do the extra one.
He's cut off now, yeah. I'll tell you what, it's not a great start, Ryan, if we're cutting off short already. No, joking. So the next drill we're going to go into, so we're going to move up the court. So now we're going into some volleys. So Ryan's going to feed just above service line. He's going to put a feed in. He's either going to play in a volley drop or a volley to length. And we're just going to mix in, mainly volley drops, we're going to mix in a few volleys to length. And the reason for having both shots here off this feed, so either the volley drop or playing the volley drive, is again to try and make it a bit more realistic, but also to show options in the shot. So trying to get into a relatively similar position to play both the volley drop and the volley long in your prep. Okay, I'll stand out of the way for this one. So we got
Josh,
yeah.
Is there anything you'd want? Is there anything you'd want in particular in terms of the movement when someone's practicing this? Would you want them moving on to the ball, or where would you want the body weight going?
Yeah, so as we're coming in here, so like Ryan, just trying as we're coming in, let's try and time our step as we're coming onto the volley. Try and get our weight transferring into the ball as we're going in. So yeah, absolutely spot on, Lee. Like what I'm really looking for is for Ryan to come back to the middle, feed himself up, and then really step onto it. So equally great shot there. Try and get the ball out on the feed, so then we step onto it a bit, a little bit more pace on it, so around sort of short line, a bit more on it, back to the tee, feed, and then try and step on and get your weight transferring into the ball. So as we're going in short, like again, like as I said in the back, this is an open racket face kind of thing, trying to really open the racket face, cutting through it. So accelerating the racket through to go long there. Just try and think about how you use your body weight, Ryan. So like try and use your movement onto the balls, try and step on, try and time the movement onto the ball.
Yeah, so that one was perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because Ryan got that step and hit there, Josh.
Yeah, no, and absolutely, and that's what we're looking for, really, is you try and get that timing onto the ball, Ryan.
There you go.
So, and then again, so and just careful that sidewall to length. Try and run that ball through. Just try and think of your target to length as well.
I tell you what this really helps with, Josh, in terms of when you're playing your match play, is being able to get your spacing right when you volley. How often do you find that when you're playing, you sort of run onto a volley because you're panicking, whereas doing this kind of practice you can feed it up, hold off, and then get your spacing right onto the ball so that you get all your body weight and timing into it.
Yeah, and I think, these last few years, Ryan's settled into this, actually. His spacing's got better, hasn't it? And particularly starting to hit a slightly better line in it as a result. Transferring your weight, Ryan, into the ball, trying to time the step. And it's creating nice rhythm, isn't it? And that's what this is about, really. It's linking that movement and the hitting together. So the more you get that timing of the step, the rhythm, holding off, get the spacing right, the more flow. Beautiful length. That's nice. So we'll do a few more here, and then we'll go back into one of our ghosting exercises. So it's much better with your spacing here, Ryan. I did prime him, Lee, to get better as each exercise went on, to make me look better at coaching. So.
Definitely building into that session. So, okay, last couple here. Let's just do 5 more shots, actually, just to finish this one off. So, just try and keep the racket face a little bit more open going in short for me, Ryan. Just try and keep a little bit more of the edge coming through. Just try and keep it a little bit more open going in short on the short ball. So, a couple more, and we'll go into a ghost. Nice, good line. Last one. Awesome. Cheers, Ryan. So now we're going to go into a ghost. So we're going to break these up with a ghost each time. So just want you to ghost onto the volley. Trying again, you can either go short or long in your imagination of what shot. Just keep ghost. We're going to do 2 sets of 10. So here's the ghost. We got what's it? And really focus on that timing of the step. So it's that plants and really focusing on trying to get that rhythm through. So trying to link that last step, the spacing on the ball, and then the ghost in the hit. And again, you're really trying to think about the shot you just practiced, aren't you? So if Ryan can really imagine he's just playing those drop shots and those drives, then all of a sudden from this movement, his shot's going to get better as well as the actual movement onto it, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is where the visualization is absolutely key, I think. So obviously we can't see in Ryan's brain. I'm not sure if we'd want to or not, but if you're trying to get into that mind, so you're really trying to visualize what shot you're playing, where the ball's going, how it feels as well, within both sort of the feelings in the body, how it's feeling off the strings, and trying to bring that alive. That's where ghosting really starts to sort of open up as an exercise, I think. It's not just about the physical side of doing the movement, it's about how it links. That's definitely 10, isn't it? There you go, little breather. So again, just, within this second set, just try and mix it up nice, try and create a bit more smoothness in it, like try not to force it too much. Let's try and get that timing there and the spacing. So it's landing and then hitting and then trying to get that short or long ball. Try and play it out in your mind as you're going. Okay, 10 more, here we go. Again, as you're coming back into the sport, as club players coming back in and starting to play, it's really important that, we start to do some of these different types of exercises just to get all the sort of pathways going, the neural pathways of everything going, the skills coming back, obviously trying to get the efficiency and the movement, the smoothness back.
Yeah, I think, Josh, it's like all the other sessions that we've done in the series so far. It's about accumulating little bits. Now you get to the club slightly early. You can practice these things, and if you're working on a specific area and you've been doing quite a lot of it, and you only do really small amounts, it all accumulates and it makes such a big difference in the end. And what I would say is there's a reason that all these professional players and all the very best coaches in the country and in the world, they swear by solo, they swear by ghosting and the exercises that we're talking about. And you only do very small bits of it, even if you haven't got that much time, but it will make a big, big difference to your game, which then makes it more enjoyable, and it sort of just opens up a whole new level for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's something here where, like, if you'll get there early at the club, like you said, Lee, you can spend, 5 minutes doing a area, and hence this kind of sessions we're going through, we're doing front, middle, back, back, middle, front, sorry. And then again, and like, I think that's important because we're showing that you can highlight certain areas of the court. You could spend, a little bit longer in each area. I'm just trying to run you through an exercise for each area of the court, really, and then linking it together. So Ryan's next one is he's going to come into the front. He's going to feed himself a feed just around the service line to bounce once. He's going to come in, either play a straight drop at the front here or a straight drive to length. So similar to what we've just done on the volley, but obviously coming into the front, trying to get the feed going as well. So just trying to get a nice little feed to around the service line, try and step onto the ball. So just with your racket, just feed it up, hit it up, that's it, and then step onto it, and then play it in, that's it. And again, so quite quick onto it, flick it up again, and then it's either a drop or a drive. So trying again, like it got better on this volley. It's trying to time that step, get the rhythm onto the ball. So
there you go, perfect. Look at that one. That was great timing from Ryan on that one. Could that or drop it.
So we go.
So here, Josh, obviously connecting the movement, making sure that he's moving onto the ball, but then equally trying to get it so that he has the options of hitting long or short from the same position with the same shot, with the same timing. So it gives him timing and decisions and options, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I've tried to give that short and long ball for Ryan here. So like it's trying to, as soon as you've got that option, you can start to get that feeling of whether the swings sort of blending together. If you've got the option of both as you're arriving to the ball. And I think, as you start to time the step and link the movement, that becomes easier as well, because if we've got that little bit of body weight, that little bit of momentum still within your movement, it does allow you to accelerate the racket out that little bit later for the long ball while still being able to take it in short.
And you can actually use your movement to hit the ball as well, can't you? And so you can actually have a slightly smaller swing if you're moving onto the ball into the front, and that makes you so much harder to read.
Yeah, and that's where it's that weight transfer, isn't it? And it's that swinging from the body, using your body weight, trying to get that timing of how our body, our trunk is all linking into the swing and into the contact point. And it's how you sort of approach the ball here as well. So, the best ones Ryan's hit is just hold off a little bit and then time that step onto the ball and not arrive too early. So they arrived a little bit too early, actually. But it's trying to just sort of give yourself that time, hold off a little bit, and then time the step, time the movement, and then hit. Oh, it's going ambitious here with his targets.
You'd take that though, wouldn't you? It wasn't a bad miss.
No. So again, like we've done on these, we'll do a few more, just get a bit of smoothness through this shot.
And it's a very controlled feed that allows Ryan to actually step onto the ball, doesn't it? So he's not rushing himself or making it very stressful. He's getting everything right and giving himself the time to actually do it.
Yeah, that's a beautiful acceleration out for the long ball. This is something that you could make a little bit harder as well, though, Lee. If you're feeling very comfortable with it, you could always mix up like a little cross-court feed, so you're turning onto it. Or you could also put this feed in a bit quicker. But I think what's important here is that Ryan's got the time, as you said, just in terms of trying to get that feeling through the shot. He's got that time to get onto it, time to time the movement, time to work on little bits of the technique to make it that little bit better. So again, we'll just do 10 more shots here, Ryan. Just try and keep mixing up that short ball and the long ball. Trying to keep the options available throughout. Yeah. Yeah, if you could start to make that decision later, great. You know, just keeping it available later in the shot. It's a beautiful line. Good target hit. Again, it's, you know, depending on the height of the feed as well, it's how appropriate the racket position is. So like, it might well be that the feed goes a bit lower and it might not be as much racket prep. Might be that the feed's a bit higher and then your racket's going to come up a bit more. It's trying to make it appropriate to the height of the ball as well as the shot you're trying to play.
And movement-wise, it's just looking, I guess, it's just looking to be as balanced as possible, as well as the body weight into the shot. So being nice and stable when you're hitting the shot, drop or drive.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, the more balanced you are, the more you're going to have those options. I think the timing is the big thing that we're looking at here. So the timing of that step onto the ball, just trying to hold off that last step a little bit, time the placement of the foot onto the ball. True. Last few, yeah, a couple more, and then we'll go into the ghost. Last shot here, then Ryan, and then we'll go. Perfect. So straight into the ghost. So the ghost here, we're just going to ghost into this front corner, looking for quite a direct line, Ryan, not like a massive banana. So trying to go straight in a little bit and then just play. Again, try and visualize that short and long ball. Try and make it as realistic as you possibly can. Just try and see where the ball's going. So use your eyes, look up, like try and really visualize what you've played. Just try and, that's it. Good hold.
Oh, cheeky little hold there.
So just try and release the swing a little bit more in this front corner, just create a bit more rhythm. And try and go quite direct and just turn it on the last little bit. So a couple more for me, Ryan.
And again, it's just about making it as realistic as possible, isn't it? So connecting what Ryan's just done with the solo, connecting it with the movement, and then also making sure that both of those things fit exactly the same as when Ryan's going to be playing matches.
Yeah, and I think, you know, something that's very deliberately said about going quite direct. So stop there for a sec, Ryan, that's it. So like, I think one of the things that you see a lot of club players doing when we're doing this ghosting is this kind of like big banana into the front. And it's like, we'd never actually do that in a game. So I think that's where I was saying being quite direct in the movement. So that's something I think to watch out for in trying to make it more realistic. And I think as well, just how we release the swing, you know, it was quite obvious there. A couple of them, you kind of like Ryan was stopping a little bit and then it stops the rhythm of the movement. So how we can kind of release the follow through a little bit more, start to create a bit more rhythm in it. So we'll just go for that second set, Ryan, of 10 here. So I think here, just try and keep quite direct, get that turn as you come into the ball. And then I think really focus on the follow through so you get a bit of rhythm off it.
So Josh, okay, if you're asking Ryan to go a bit more direct to the ball, where does he make sure that he gets the turn so that, you know, the hips and the shoulders are getting round? Would it be through the toe and the spacing, or would it be that last step that gets him into positions? Because obviously that's the reason for the bananaing, isn't it? Is to try and get side on in the shot. Whereas when you're approaching a bit more diagonal, it's then how do you get yourself side on to the shot?
Yeah, and I think it's an interesting thing I know Tanya's going to do on Thursday about split step and kind of change the direction and stuff. But one noticeable bit for that turn, Lee, just looking at Ryan here, would be how he's sort of coming off the tee and the split step off the tee. One area that could get the turn happening a little bit easier on a direct line from be pushing off more off his left foot, rather than at the moment he's kind of a little bit unsure on the split step. So that would be one thing to try and push off a bit more deliberately, kind of off that left foot. And then it starts to bring this hip round as we're coming in anyway. So that would be the first bit, is even on a direct line, that's bringing my hip round from pushing off a bit more deliberately through the split step. But as you're right, Lee, as I start to land on that last step, it's really trying to get that pivot as we land and then hit. So we'll just do 5 more, Ryan. Try and focus on that aspect a little bit as well. It's just chucking in like loads for you to think about here, you know? I think that's one thing, if you're going to go directly, is knowing how we get the most out of the split step and that first bit and how that sets our hips going.
And that's where ghosting becomes so important, doesn't it? Because ghosting actually helps you to understand what foot you're setting off from in the middle, how you arrive to the ball, how many steps you need to take.
Yeah, and I think, personally, like I spent a lot of time just by myself filming myself ghosting and trying to then watch it back and like make it better. Something I'd really advise players to do. I do advise players to do if they get the chance is to film their ghosting and then watching it back and try and look at the detail in the technique. Yeah. And I think that's where you can spend a little bit of time and just try and make this a bit more, just become a bit of a perfectionist really around some of the technique within the ghosting. And there are a few little bits there that Ryan could have a bit of work on, and probably warrants probably focus on one step, maybe on the split step, one maybe on being a bit more direct, and then you start to chunk it down as to the areas that you're working on as well. So that's something that you could take away and do a little bit more of. So we're going to come back to the backhand side. So we're now going to go to backhand drives, Lee. So Ryan's just going to come back. So we're going to basically repeat what we've done on this side on the backhand now. So Ryan's going to do some drives out the back. Might just need a little bit to get that ball back warm.
But yeah, those targets at the back of the wall is where you want Ryan to get the ball bouncing before it hits the back.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're looking for. So we've obviously got the floorboard target in terms of the width, and then off the back wall we've got this black. We've got black line, just probably about a racket's length, just below the sort of lines that are on the back of the glass anyway. And just looking for the ball to fade into that target, really. So just looking at how the ball sort of falls off. Yeah, and that's a really good target to use for weighted shots, trying to get the depth in the court. And to do that, like it's thinking about the height that we're hitting at and the pace that we're using as well. So when Ryan gets that right, so the right height and pace, which is a lovely one there, is why I had to take it off early. So as you get that right height and pace together, like that's where we're going to get a weighted shot. And that's what you're looking for in a game, really, isn't it? You're trying to get a length that's going to start to get someone to hit up on it, essentially get them in a more defensive position so you can start to take up more aggressive positions at the court or start to create more opportunities. It's one thing
it's just about getting that ball control and getting the swing in the right place every single time as well, isn't it?
Yeah, no, yeah, certainly. I was just going to say one thing for Ryan here is probably like the consistency of his position and the ball, trying to get into a good position early, a bit more consistently, will give you a bit more consistency in the shot as well down the line. So like notice for some of those, quite, not quite getting into as good a position early and then hitting, a really good shot, but then it's also that ability to match it, isn't it, in a game? So
yeah, I think if you work on really getting the racket preparation and the body position right before the ball arrives, it allows that rhythm and flow and weight transfer to happen a lot more naturally and a lot easier and a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, and like those last sort of 5 or 10 shots, actually, Ryan's just looked a little bit more composed on the ball. So a little bit more time on the ball, it's looked like. A little bit more balance, just trying to hit. Great line there. So it's just starting to get a little bit more balanced on the ball. And as you rightly, then it looks a lot more controlled, doesn't it? That's a great sign for the quality of shot to then come from. So again, we'll just do a few more here and then we'll move into the goes. The other reason for obviously mixing like the ghosting and the hitting is it just makes it that little bit more active as well. It's quite a nice session. So you got a little bit of harder work and then a little bit more of accuracy stuff. Keeps it all quite interesting. Just blending the two together. Just last 5 shots for me, Ryan.
And you can already see, can't you, that Ryan's driving as the ball's getting warm, as he's getting everything right and in the right place. It's all improving, isn't it, and flowing more.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's about, really. It's just trying to link the two together and try and sort of get that rhythm, the timing all coming through. So Ryan's going to go into just the ghost into the backhand. Again, just trying to think about making it as realistic, trying to get his rhythm. trying to be nice and smooth in it. So trying to link as well from here, link the follow through and that movement off. So we're just coming off nice and smoothly. Just trying to keep that rhythm in the shot. So we'll see if he can count to 10 this time.
That's all right. We don't mind him getting an extra bonus in. As long as he goes 1 or 2 over and not under.
I think he's been cutting a few under, you know, Lee. I think, you know, if only I could talk to you, watch him and count all at the same time, it would be you have to find out.
I'm disappointed you can't.
Awesome. So yeah, as I was kind of saying there, Ryan, it's trying to get that link from here as you let that follow through go, and then that smoothness off the ball. So trying to be nice and smooth, and then releasing that racket, and then that nice smoothness off that last bit of the movement flowing up to the tee off the ball. Yeah, and that's really where some of the rhythm, and also to be fair, Ryan, it's where some of the timing will come from here in the shot as well, create a nice bit of rhythm. So one more set of 10 there, and then we'll move to the middle of the court. I hope Ryan's going to tune in on Thursday to Tanya's session on the split step. So I think he could spend a bit of time there as well. But that's that's probably one for Thursday. So last few for me, Ryan.
That's why these sessions are so beneficial, though, because it just allows you to keep breaking down little elements of your game that you can work on. That when you put them all together, they're just little pieces of the jigsaw that then build the whole picture.
Yeah, and I think that's where you can sort of dip into these. You know, you can dip into bits that are relevant to you. That'll do, right? And I think that's where, you know, you can pick a topic and have a little bit of a look back at this. And obviously, you know, if it's a bit more about timing and rhythm, like some of this stuff will be really good. As I said, I think Tam's looking at split step and fast changes, you know, on Thursday. So again, that's another thing you can sort of dip into. So as we did on that side, we're going to come into the volley. So Ryan's going to feed up just above the service line with a bit of pace on it. He's either going to play a volley to length or a volley drop. Really trying to focus on his spacing again, just trying to time the step, trying to come with quite a similar swing for both short and long ball, and then take it in. So just on the volley, right? So a bit more pace on that feed. Again, like on that forehand, try and focus on the spacing on the shot. So a bit of space, time the step, really try and transfer the weight into the shot.
So again, you're just looking for that. You're looking for that timing, aren't you? That give yourself time with the feed and then trying to step in and hit.
Yeah, and I think this is where the feeding is really important. So, like, if Ryan gets his feed a little bit tighter, he's just giving himself a chance to step onto the ball a little bit more. Just try and get that space in. There you go. And then, as a result, you can get your chest into it, get your shoulder into it, really transfer your body weight in. And as you get that shoulder into it and the chest in, particularly going in short, you can then start to hit down on the ball a little bit more, be a bit more severe in the hitting.
So just had a question from Aditola, Josh, asking how do you time your approach on the backhand drive so that you can prevent your opponent from asking for lets after you've hit the drive?
In terms of from the back corner, which area of the court are we talking about, Lee?
It just said backhand, so I'm guessing middle and back.
Yeah. Okay. I think this is just that little bit of knowledge, isn't it, about where we're moving, how we're moving around each other, and how we're moving around our opponent. I think our line to and from the ball is really important, isn't it? So I think, you know, as you're coming off this shot in the back corner, as we just did, I think that's something where, you know, you've probably got to just give that little bit of space for the person to come in down the middle of the channel. So they're coming in front of you and you're sort of peeling off a little bit within the follow through. Obviously, you know, within the ghosting, It's a bit harder to sort of see that, isn't it? So it's something where in the ghosting, you probably want to try and visualize where your opponent's going to be coming in for the next shot as well. On the volley, I think the thing I'd say here is probably trying to really think about what shot you've hit and the depth of it. So if I've hit a volley to deep, for example, and it's fallen a bit short, you're probably going to get a little bit more congestion than if the ball's gone a little bit deeper. Obviously, going in short to the front, it's probably just about giving that little bit of a line to the person who's come round you as well. Hopefully that helps, Chief Referee and Director Lee Grew.
I think a lot of it's about how quickly you hit the ball as well, and making sure that you can clear and the targets you hit. If you hit high quality targets, the odds are that you can get out a lot quicker. I think a lot of the problems come when you miss a target or you hit too quickly for your own movement.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's one thing that's very evident. You know, when you're in a messy match against someone, I think one thing to always think about is trying to hit better quality targets, and then quite a lot of the time the interference disappears. You know, better targets you hit, the more space between you and the opponent anyway. So, you know, if you can hit better quality targets, if you start to focus on the quality of your targets, it does start to clear the game up. So we'll just do a few more here with Ryan, and then we'll move on to some of the ghosting as well. Starting to get a bit of a sweat on here, which is good. He's getting his money's worth. Put him on the... Okay, last two shots from me, Ryan, then into the ghosting.
Would you always do it in this sort of pattern, or would you sometimes switch from side to side, right? Or would you just say it's completely up to the individual?
One thing I've tried to do here, Lee, is try and make sure I mixed in both the harder shots and the softer shots, try and keep the ball warm throughout. So Ryan's just going to go into his ghost just around the middle. So again, just 10 ghosts in the middle, mixing up short and long. Yeah, one of the reasons I did the drives, then the middle, then the front, and equally why I kept the driving on the shots to the front, was just to try and keep the ball warm. So that was quite deliberate in terms of the way I've sort of planned it out. One way you could do it is obviously just go drives and then drops on the backhand, and then you keep the ball warm as well. You know, that would be a way to do it. But I think that's something to think about in your solo. Obviously, mixing the ghosting as well, it's a bit more tendency for the ball to get colder, but just trying to keep the heat in the ball when taking the ball in short is important. Just try and mix up as well. So have a little breather. Try and mix up going forwards, maybe a few, maybe come back. So where the ball is in you go. So it's another way to sort of make this a bit more realistic is starting to think about where the ball could be rather than it being the same space every time. So it might well be that you're coming onto it out in front. It might be that it's a bit more level or coming back, you know. And just within one shot, you know, there can be multiple ways that we move. So,
yeah, again, you're just making it slightly more random, because if you're playing, the ball's not going to be in exactly the same place every single time. So you're going to have to adapt and adjust, aren't you?
Yeah, and I think that's just, again, it's where the visualization comes in and starting to think about, you know, where the ball is, you know, what our movement is to it. Might be if the ball's out in front here, that really trying to step on, get our weight going out to the ball a little bit more. Might be if it's coming back that we're sort of rolling off and trying to create space within our body. Still be able to play a quality shot. So we'll just do a couple more from Ryan here. Last one for us, Ryan. Perfect. So again, just coming to the front. So now Ryan's just going to feed to the service line. He's going to step onto it, try and time his movement on. We're going to go short or long. So same as we did on the other side.
And again, it's just all about positioning. It's about preparation. It's about timing. You get those things right, in exactly where you want them. It's going to really improve your shot, your quality of shot and choices.
Yeah, and I think, you know, all these exercises have been fairly simple exercises. There's no rocket science here. You've probably seen a lot of these before, but it's trying to do them with real quality and trying to think about what we're trying to do on the shot, trying to think about a couple of technical things on each one, just something that we're trying to make a little bit better. And I think that's where we can start to apply our minds, apply attention on certain exercises to do things better, you know. So here, you know, we talked about timing, rhythm, you know, it might well be the spacing onto the ball.
Lovely shot there from Ryan. Where's the well done, coach?
I know. I don't want his ego to get too big, do we? Lee was saying you just hit a beautiful shot there to the front.
He was caressing that drop shot.
This is Ryan's prime time area, this, Lee. He knows this is his best area. This is his renowned backhand flick. He's unfortunately hasn't got the cross court options on this. Normally he's got a few more options from this area. Renowned local league backhands, trickle bows, cross court flick, straight drive, anything from here.
I'm sure there'll be the odd leisure centre boast in there as well.
Oh yeah.
So how important do you think it is on the approach to sort of engage your shoulder with the racket prep, or where does your timing, where's your power come from on the backhand? If you're at the front and you're going slightly smaller with the swing, and you see it these days, don't you, where players are going in with very small swings and they're actually still got long and short options. What do you think would be the key aspect of the technique when you're moving in? Would it be the movement? Would it be the preparation? What do you think?
I think, you know, one thing, and watching here with Ryan actually as well, is just how he turns his shoulder and his hip. If we could get that round a little bit more, a little bit earlier, it just starts to build that power from the body. So less reliance on the size of the swing, more reliance on how we time and how we use our body. So like, it's obviously like it's a little bit like a spring in there. We sort of coil our body, use our body, turn our hip, turn our shoulder, drop that into the ball as well. So you're starting to get that bit more power from our body position rather than necessarily just the size of the swing.
Actually, after you said that to Ryan, the shot sounded different as well, Josh, on the front wall.
Yeah, and I think that's where you can get a bit more timing, you know, again, like, and get that little bit more power through the shot just from using the body. You know, it's like swinging from the body, swinging from the hips, turn the shoulder in. Just do a few more and then we'll go into this ghost. And I just want to finish with one more exercise after these, Lee.
Yeah, you're into the last 5 minutes or so, so all good.
So just do 5 more shots for me here, Ryan. Quite a lot of power late from Ryan, just turning the body, turn that through, accelerating the racket through.
I guess the next thing is you would be pretending in your mind when you're doing this that you're going to hit a drive and then play the drop and vice versa.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is we've talked about visualization in the ghosting, but we could also apply that in the solo here with these kind of drills. So, you know, for Ryan, he could start to imagine that ball's come up and he might have someone moving in and try and sort of pick where their body is and how he's going to send that shot off. It might well be, you know, equally, we could add some more options in. You could start to give yourself some cross-court options and start to think, well, actually, if the opponent's on the side that I'm hitting on this backhand side, then maybe it's a cross-court. Maybe they're behind you back a little bit here, and then actually it's a straight option. So you start to build those sort of things in as well. So we've got the ghost now. So we're just going to ghost 2 sets of 10 to the front backhand. Again, try and build in some of the things we've been talking about within the ghosting. So I'm trying to go quite direct, trying to use the split step to just get a bit of turn as we're coming off the tee. Yeah, you are. Yeah, try and use your outside foot off the split step a little bit more. So push off your. If you can push off your right, you'll get a bit more turn early.
We can't be that tired yet because he's talking to you while he's ghosting.
Yeah, he loves a chat, don't you, Ryan? Said you can't be too tired because you're chatting. So a few more. We'll just do these couple of sets of 10.
And again, everything we've done here, and we can repeat the same things. Okay, they're slightly different positions that you're going into, but it's all about building those basics, those foundations, isn't it? So that when it all speeds up and you're under pressure, it holds together in a match. And that's what players are looking to do when they're doing these kinds of practices.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a saying used lots, isn't it? The basics done brilliantly, but trying to do things that little bit better, some of the basic stuff a little bit better, like getting some of the technique that move forwards that little bit, it just gives the foundations to then build off within a match. So, yeah, we'll just do one more set into there, just one more set of 10, and then we're going to do a little bit of a finisher. So we're going to try and up the tempo a little bit. So we've got this last little set of ghosting.
You have to tell Ryan that he's you paying him overtime for this, because
Are we going into the last minute? Okay, just 2 more there for me, Ryan.
So again, it's just about trying to get the spacing to. You want to move in a way that gives you a controlled last lunge, don't you? A controlled last step. You talk to the very best players in the world, and someone like Gaultier, he says all his focus is on getting into a position so his last step is controlled. And if it's controlled, you're balanced, you're in control of what's going on, you've got stability, you've got that timing and options again.
Have we got time for just this last little bit, Lee?
Yeah, of course.
Little finisher, yeah.
This is like a bonus, Josh.
This is the bonus round. So Ryan's just going to do some little side-to-side volleys. So we'll just go off this sidewall, right? So you're just going to do 20 like side-to-side volleys, forehand, backhand. Just trying to do that quite quick. Then we're going to go straight into 10 ghosts, just flat out, just around the tee, really fast. I just wanted to put a little bit of a finisher in there as a little bit of a high tempo thing. So 20 volleys like this, just quite quick, just trying to get the hands working quite fast. And then, you could mix in a few different things like this. You could do little corner volleys. Yeah, just 20 of these for me, Ryan. And then a last little quick burst of ghosting. You could do multiple sets if you've got time, if you've still got some time left on your court booking. So then we're just like into this last little bit. Set. So just 10 ghosts, set, nice and quick. Just working on the speed, really. Just last little bit of a finisher. Just try and keep some of the quality of what we've been doing, but trying to work the tempo. Another session for another day might be that you build some of those things in later to some of the more sort of rhythmical exercises that we've done. But
yeah, and then I guess you can start to cover both sides of the court, can't you, with the hitting and the movement.
Yeah, no, and hopefully that sort of took you through each area of the court there and that. And then just, again, like, as I said, you could do multiple sets of that kind of stuff just to finish it off with a bit of a high intensity kind of finish. Or, if you're doing that session again and you wanted to mix it up, you could add that in as your sort of little bolt on as you go ghosting in the middle. So, look, I think key points today, just it's trying to get the timing of the movement onto the ball, trying to really think about that, trying to think about how we get our foot to time, and then the time in the hit, how we use our body and our transfer of our weight to try and improve that. And I think if we can get all that coming together, you should get quite nice feel, quite nice rhythm in the shot. So hope that was useful, Lee, and thanks for having me and Ryan.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks a lot, Josh. Again, it's just about reiterating that you do a lot of these small, tiny things. You get small little wins on a regular basis, and that will lead to big improvements. And that's all we're talking about the whole time, is just keep putting little bits of what we're doing in, and it will build up over time. You will become a better player from it. So it really is invaluable. We will, of course, be back on Thursday. You'll be able to sign up via the SQUASHfit Hub. So do that, and you can join us live at 6 o'clock. It's going to be a session with Tanya Bailey and Gina Kennedy. So that should be a really good session, again, focusing on the split step part of the movement with the hit. So I'm really looking forward to that one. But from myself, Ryan and Josh, that's all we've got time here this evening. We will be back on Thursday at 6 o'clock for more England squash, SQUASHfit. Join us then.